A long-rumoured fantasy fight is actually happening. Former UFC bantamweight champion Rowdy Ronda Rousey versus women's MMA pioneer Gina Carano in a super fight over a decade in the making. And the promoters? Jake Paul's MVP and Netflix. Because who else? Despite her years away from the sport, Rousey remains the face of women's MMA after becoming the UFC's first female champion and steamrolling opponents, usually in record time. Her reign came to an abrupt end in 2015 when Holly Holm discombobulated her genetic makeup in one of the sport's biggest upsets. Her last UFC bout was a brutal beatdown in 2016 at the hands of the undisputed GOAT of women's MMA, Amanda Nunes. After leaving the UFC, Rousey became a mother, an author, an actor, and a professional wrestler. She even captured the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship before retiring to raise a family. Carano hasn't fought since her 2009 TKO loss to Chris Cyborg for the inaugural Strikeforce featherweight title, the first major women's MMA headliner. While Cyborg later tested positive for anabolic steroids, that defeat remains the only blemish on Carano's professional record. Like Rousey, she transitioned into acting, starring in such films as Haywire, Fast and Furious 6, and Deadpool. Carano also starred in The Mandalorian TV show before Disney fired her in 2021 after she compared Republicans who refused COVID vaccinations to victims of the Holocaust. Surreal moment, tweeted Jake after the announcement. I started taking judo because of Ronda Rousey. Now I get to work with her and Gina Carano to bring MMA to Netflix. Here we go. That bout is scheduled to go down this May 16. From one mega event to another. UFC CEO Dana White confirmed the UFC's celebrations for Donald Trump's birthday on the White House lawn, A.K.A America's 250th Independence Day, is a done deal. While Uncle Dana also said that the logistics aren't final, nor is the fight card or the amount of championship bouts that will take place on it, he said he's meeting with the orange-painted man soon to see what he'd like. We'll see what he likes and what he doesn't like, said White. But let me tell you this event is going to be so badass and so unique and so special and so expensive. As for the White House main event, the interim lightweight champion Justin Gaethje sees his title unification with the champ Ilia Topuria as the obvious choice. Former double champ Conor McGregor is also eager to get on the card. Despite being out of the cage for years and with no wins in even longer, he's still a massive box office draw, so there's a very good chance he'll get whatever he asks for. Rumors linked him to a fight with the retired BMF champ Jorge Masvidal. It's guaranteed to get eyes on the event, and Masvidal is a vocal Trump sycophant, so it makes sense. A pity for Street Jesus that White isn't interested in seeing McGregor face him. I don't listen to any of the goofy that goes on, White said at the online rumor. No, that's goofy the MMA world. I don't listen to any of that. Another champ who's keen to get on the card is former Bellator champ Michael Chandler. He was scheduled to face McGregor 2 years ago, but he's moved on and now wants to face Max Holloway for the BMF title instead, so long as Holloway can get past Charles Oliveira next month. UFC legend Nate Diaz is also open to making a return for some of that White House grass action. I'm ready to get back in real action, Diaz proclaimed. I want to fight either Conor McGregor 3, I want to fight maybe Dustin Poirier if he stops being such a and then maybe Mike Perry. Let's see what happens in the future, though. Mike Perry would have been a fun fight as always, but he now fights bare knuckle and he left the UFC on bad terms, so that matchup is unlikely. Diaz split 2 fights with McGregor in 2 of the most lucrative bouts in UFC history. For some reason, we never got a decider, and this would be a great place to settle the trilogy. But Diaz was scheduled to fight Poirier twice before injuries scuppered both attempts. The Diamond retired in July of 2025, but after hearing Diaz had called him out again, Poirier responded by posting a video of himself back in training. It's a good sign. Two-time title contender and the nicest guy in the game, Stephen Thompson, wants to have his last fight on the White House card. That's especially true if the sport's biggest babyface can fight the sport's biggest heel, Donald Trump tragic, Colby Covington. Perhaps the biggest name chasing the headline spot, though, is none other than Jon Jones. The former two-division UFC champion recently revealed severe arthritis and a potential hip replacement while discussing a freestyle wrestling bout with longtime rival Daniel Cormier. But there's not a chance he'd let that stop him from making more history. The UFC knows the extent of my arthritis, Jones said. They also know that if I were to put it all on the line one last time and endured that level of pain, the reward would have to be something special and something more than a fat payday. For me, that was and is still the White House. In other news, heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall is losing support from one of his biggest proponents, Michael Bisping, who thinks it might be time for the UFC to move on without him. Aspinall has been sidelined due to multiple eye surgeries following UFC 321 in October of 2025. A double eye poke he suffered against Cyril Gane ended the bout in a no contest. I understand that he's off and he's going through a lot right now, Bisping said of Aspinall. Just ignore all of that. Just come back and win your next fight. Dominate the next few, make tons of money and retire. But in the meantime, let's get back to Alex Pereira. Bisping clarified he's not anti-Aspinall, he's just realistic. And with everything the light heavyweight champ Alex Pereira has accomplished, and the fact he's called for a bout at heavyweight, it's hard to conceive of a reason why that wouldn't happen. And finally, former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez has been released on parole after nearly 11 months in a California state prison. In 2025, Velasquez was sentenced to 5 years with time served after pleading no contest to attempted murder and related charges stemming from a 2022 vigilante shooting. Velasquez had learned that childcare worker Harry Gallart had been accused of molesting his son as well as other children at the daycare he worked at. The short version of the story is that Velasquez went to confront Gallart. Gallart fled in a car with his stepfather Paul Bender. Velasquez gave chase and fired 2 shots at the fleeing vehicle, and a bullet struck Bender, causing non-fatal injuries. The exact conditions of his parole remain unclear, but Velasquez was released from a facility in Soledad, California last week, and he was greeted by his family and a mariachi band. Gallart faces a felony charge of lewd acts with a minor and is currently out on bail. Velasquez has also filed a civil case against him, so he hasn't given up the chase just yet. One Fight Night 40 delivered 2 sport history. The Muay Thai champ Stella Hemmetsberger dethroned Jackie Buntan via a split decision in their rematch to capture the women's strawweight kickboxing world title. The opening round was all about data gathering. Buntan held the edges in speed and raw power, while Hemmetsberger countered with trickier angles and craftier shot selection. Round 2 saw Buntan shift gears, landing crisp jab cross sequences and chopping low kicks. Hemmetsberger answered with explosive combinations that backed up the defending queen. Buntan's footwork was on display, with her stepping off and countering cleanly, but Hemmetsberger's unorthodox attacks kept landing, and the 5th round proved decisive when repeated right body kicks from the Muay Thai champ flipped the momentum.
World Strawweight Kickboxing Champion of the World, Stella Hemmetsberger!
With the split decision, Hemmetsberger improved to 10-1, swept Buntan 2-0, and became the first Austrian to claim 2 sport gold in one championship history. In the co-main, Nico Carrillo stormed back from an early deficit to defeat Thai phenom Shadow via a unanimous decision to claim the interim featherweight Muay Thai world title. The King of the North pulled off one of the most dramatic comebacks in recent history. Shadow controlled the early rounds with leg kicks and sharp counters, but round 4 changed when Carrillo floored him with his trademark right hand. Shadow beat the count, but fatigue was setting in fast. Carrillo repeatedly punished him with strikes and seized full control down the stretch. The win pushed Carrillo to 30-4 and set up a future unification bout with divisional king Taewon Chai, which will happen once the champ returns from injury. In other highlights from the card, Hu Yong spoiled Danny Kingad's comeback with a first-round ground-and-pound TKO. After early exchanges on the feet, Hu dominated on the mat, pinned Kingad, and finished with brutal knees and hammer fists. Ben Tynan submitted Ryugo Takeuchi with a textbook arm triangle. Vanilla Thunder avoided the Japanese knockout artist's striking by securing the takedown and methodically drowning him on the mat. Not a bad showing for the hulking Canadian. And finally, teenage prodigy Adrian the Phenom Lee announced his return with a dominant first-round TKO victory over Shozo Izejima. After surviving early danger, the 19-year-old reset, took the fight to the canvas, and unleashed a relentless barrage to reassert himself as one of ONE's most dangerous rising stars.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.